Hello everyone, welcome to the Bring a Trailer auction video for my 1967 Southwestern Bell Telephone service truck. I've had this truck for several years now. It's mainly been sitting around waiting for the perfect opportunity for me to build it. And when I found this 1955 Bell Telephone service body in the back to put on this truck, I knew it was time to get started on it, and that was August of last year, 2024. I got started on it, and now we have snowballed all our way to today, where we have it listed here on Bring a Trailer for sale. I originally just wanted to get this truck running and driving and just kind of sell it locally, or list it for sale, and I kind of fell in love with it and spent a lot more time and money on it than I initially planned. So I thought it was nice enough here to throw on a Bring a Trailer auction and share it with you all. So if you're here for the first time, my name's Matt Kubik. I love these old bump side Ford trucks. In this video, I'm going to detail everything about this truck and show you everything about it, everything I know about it, everything that's wrong with it, and detail the functions of the truck and show you everything's working and things that aren't working and stuff like that. We'll do a cold start, we'll drive it, and kind of just show you the truck so you guys get a general idea. Now on this video, or on this auction rather, I have all these other videos posted in the video gallery of the auction. Don't feel like you have to watch every single minute of all those videos. There's going to be a lot of videos there of the process, so just my YouTube videos of building this truck. I'm going to try to detail everything about this truck that you would want to know if you're a bidder in this video. So this is the only video you need to really watch. Unless you want some more in-depth detail, you can go watch those other videos, but don't feel like you're going to be missing something if you just watch this video. So I'm going to try to outline everything in this video. So without further ado, let's go dig into this truck. All right, first off, we're going to go over the exterior of the truck. I'll give you a nice walk around while I talk about it a little bit. When I got this truck, it was heavily oxidized. Basically all I've done to the paint is scrub off the oxidation and added sweet patina. I didn't do any polishing or anything like that. I'm not too exactly skilled on that. If you were skilled, I think this thing would really pop if you could polish the paint up a little bit. But I think it turned out pretty decent for just a quick wash, a little bit of a scrub, and some patina sauce on it. On the bed, I did have to do some work. You can see here some of this darker or lighter color green rather. That was kind of covering all of the passenger side. The driver's side was really faded, and I think the paint had faded off. But I had to do a lot of sanding, wet sanding, to get that green paint. You can see some of it here where it was hard to get off without just ruining the paint. So I did a lot of wet sanding on the bed on this side and the back tailgate. I think you can see it here on the inside of the door of the box. So that's that color green. Somebody had painted it at some point. So I did have to wet sand this side and the back panel, and then I applied sweet patina on top of that. This side was very minimal on the wet sanding, but I cleaned off the oxidation, and I think it matches the truck pretty well. The bed is a little bit rougher than the truck. When I got the bed, I was kind of worried it was going to be a little too mismatched, but I think it works. A kind of decent pair there together. They're both not perfect. Now going on the paint, this is just how I interpreted everything about this truck. This blue here would be what Ford painted the truck. It is a special paint code truck, which is not uncommon on fleet trucks. So this would have been the special order paint color that Ford painted. And I think what happened was whenever Bell Telephone got delivery of this truck, they went ahead and sprayed it their green color here. The interior is this kind of blue color. It is not the Bell Telephone green, if you can tell the difference there. So it's kind of the light blue color. And then out here, it's the Bell Telephone green with some of that blue poking through where it's faded out. So that is kind of something unique about this truck. And the grille itself is painted that blue color. You can see here, it wasn't just a white grille that they painted green. It was actually body color, which is kind of unique, which I guess you could probably order it that way with a special order number and get your paint order there. You can see some of the blue fading through right there. So that's kind of the paint situation on this truck. You can also see it here on the front bumper. So that's the original front bumper. There is a big whammy right here. I don't know what happened. Something kicked up behind the bumper and bent up the lower stone deflector. That is pretty tough metal. I did try to pull on it, but I didn't want to screw it up worse than it already is, so I just left it. But there is kind of a big whammy there. Same thing with the hood. There's some decent sized whammies on the hood. You can see that there. Hopefully that was shown good enough in the gallery. Y'all can see that. Another big kind of dent right here in the side of the door. You can see something got into it there. And a decent scrape here. I think whenever they put in the box bed on this truck, at some point they scraped the side of the paint there. This truck had a short bed on it when I got it, like a regular style side bed. Over here they did the same thing. Nothing too major over here, kind of a dent right there. As far as rust goes, we can go into that. There's a spot here in the fender. I think it is getting thin. It's not through yet, but it is. I'm sure if you went attack that with a screwdriver, you'd poke your way through it, but it's not through yet. The cab mounts are in really good shape. I detailed that in the gallery whenever I was up under the truck. I tried to take pictures of all that stuff. The floor pans I did replace, as well as part of the kick panel. I think I just did it on the driver's side. There was kind of a rust hole in the kick panel. Once you got going digging on that and scraping around, it started getting full of holes. So I went ahead and cut out the floor pans, put new floor pans in it. And here on the kick panel, this is the part I replaced there, and I just painted it black where I replaced it. Oh, and I painted all the floor black just after I put the floor pans in. So the floor is black underneath the floor mat. Moving forward with rust, there is a spot, or a couple of spots. It's getting thin right here in the cab corner. They're very tiny, but like I said, same thing with that fender. If you really started going at this with a screwdriver, you could probably make a big hole. And on the inner cab corner, on the underside there is a hole there. There's pictures of that in the gallery if you want to see more, but just wanted to point that out. It's kind of hard to miss. I try to get a good picture of it for you as well. Now on the bed, sorry about the mud on the tires. We had a little bit of rain last night and I went mudding. I guess it's a good thing I put traction tires on the back. I'll get that cleaned off. Right here, there is some rust through the fender right there on the, if you can see that. That would be on the panel on the inside of the bed, so it's past this. It's kind of hard to describe, but there's a panel in there behind this panel on the inside. It would be right here where it's rusted out. So I added this because this piece was rusted out, and added that just so it wasn't a rusty spot where you're going to be getting in and out. And there's spots up in this tray here, back in the corner, and here, this corner here, where it's kind of rusted out and getting a little rotten. So that piece, I mean, you probably could just take that out and call it good, but I left it in there in case somebody wanted to utilize it for something or try to fix it. There's a spot up here on this top piece of sheet metal that covers the plywood. There's plywood underneath this. It seems pretty solid. It's probably not as solid as it was when it's brand new, but the sheet metal cover is kind of rusted out there. And you could take this all apart, see all these screws. You could take all this apart and replace this piece of plywood here, but I didn't bother. So it's kind of one of them deals you just had to figure out where to stop, and this is where I ended up stopping. Now the floor on this thing, it was completely gone, not savable, so I cut all of that out. I put new cross members in the middle, and that's what it's bolted to the frame on, and then I put a new piece of plywood down there for the floor, and that is an exterior piece of plywood for what it's worth. On the bed here, the locks, I got a key because it has the number there for the locks. I got a key, but they're just locked up. Won't turn, won't do anything. There's a pin that goes in and out that locks your handles. I couldn't get them to work, but the latches work, the locks just don't work. And we have these latches here, I'm guessing because the locks didn't work. Somebody put that so they could lock their tools up. It's the other side. This lock here was, it was locked when I got it and I couldn't get it to turn. So I ended up having to cut, you can see some of the marks there. I had to cut the pin to get this to open. So this one, even if you did get it freed up, you wouldn't be able to lock it because I cut that pin. So just wanted to point that out. These steps here I made and fabricated to fit here. There wasn't anything here when I got the truck. It looks like there was at some point, the way this was kind of worn down, but this is a new step that I cut and modified to fit here, and then kind of put some paint on it and kind of scuffed it up to try to make it match. And there was a panel that went around the bottom here. You can see the hole. There was a panel that went around here, but it was so rotten and beat up, I didn't feel like it looked very good on there, so I just took it off. But there was originally a panel on that. On here on the decals, I made these decals, or had these custom made. This lettering and this symbol were on this door and it was scraped off. You can see some of the scrapings sticking through there on the E, shows it really good. But I have a before picture on the gallery of me holding the decal up here, so you can see what was here. But this logo here, I think they used up until 1968, and in 69 they changed to the logo where this bell is hollow. So this is the Bell logo. I think that would have been on this truck when it was new. And then the Southwestern Bell there, I had fit to the shape of the scrape marks on the door anyway. This is a really cool feature on this truck. It is a Fomoco spotlight. If you can see that there, it says Fomoco. So this would have been the over-the-counter. I think you could have ordered these new, although this wasn't on the Martyr report. So this would have been over-the-counter piece that has a piece that's molded specifically for this truck. And I kind of took that apart and made it all work. And here I have a new handle that I got for this. The old one was kind of, the chrome was all pitted up on it. Let's show you guys that it works. Here, I turned it on. You can kind of, yeah, it's on. You can see that. So spotlight works. It's kind of a neat little cool feature of the truck. You spin it around, you can change it, change the direction. I guess since we did that, we can go on to features. We'll show you the lights. Headlights work, and this light actually is a Fomoco light. If you can see that, it's really hard to get a picture of that, but it is a Fomoco light. This one just says Lucas, so it is not a Fomoco light. I added these lights as well. These are off a late model Ford cab and chassis truck, but I wired them in. Now on these 67s, the marker lights up front only come on whenever you have the park lights on. They do not come on with the headlights, so that's kind of unique. So I wanted to show that. If you notice, they weren't on when we did the headlight test. We'll do blinkers. They're kind of slow. There's your right blinker for the rear and for the front. Now the hazards didn't initially work, and I was just going to list them as non-operational, but as I was pulling the truck out here, I was like, I gotta fiddle with them some more and see what I can get to happen. And I actually got them to work by doing nothing more than fiddling with it. But, oh, it's not gonna do it now. I don't know, there's something up with the hazards. The rears worked since I started fiddling with it. So both of the rears are working. And it's probably going to be none of the fronts are working. When I had it in the shop, I had one front working. Okay, yeah, so both the fronts aren't working. I don't know what's going on there. There's just something. What I ended up doing was I played with the blinkers, and then I got one of the fronts to work. It's not going to do it now. But anyway, I guess we could list it as they're still not operational, or the fronts don't work, or something of that nature. The blinker switch is new, so I'm not sure if that's something's weird there, but is what it is. I guess we could go to wipers. So there's our wipers, and we even have a working washer bag. The switch doesn't always like to work, but it does. I think the more you use it, the more it would come around. Going on to our heater, this truck has the economy heater, which the switch is right here on the under the gauge cluster instead of under the radio where that would be. So we don't have a temperature control. We only have on off. So that's pull for heat, and we have 2 speeds: low, high, off. And then our defrost is ran down here by a lever on the heater box itself. So that's off and on. So that is the heater. Ashtray, nothing in there. Radio delete plate. We have a nice little remnant of the Bell system on this truck. No job is so important and no service is so urgent that we cannot take our time to perform our work safely. Bell system. So that is a little safety reminder for those working in this truck. Okay, the spring that goes here on the glove box is missing, so you kind of have to pry on it as you push the button. So it doesn't like to open just perfectly. We have a new reproduction owner's manual, so that is a new piece, not an original. I think that's kind of obvious, but just wanted to point that out. We have a registration from when I think the era this truck was last driven before I got it, and it is 481, I believe. They call it a 68. in this thing, but yeah, 81, 31, 81. So I think around that time was when this truck was parked. This letter here I found unopened behind the seat, and it is postmarked as 83, so kind of around that same era. This letter I'm sending with the truck. It's kind of personal. It's a love letter with some one of the recipients of that letter wasn't happy to receive it. I don't think that's why he didn't open it, but if you buy the truck, you get to see what's in the love letter. I also have some stuff with the truck. I actually bought this because of the envelope. It says Southwestern Bell Telephone, and I bought it to put in this door card here, but it is too big, so it's not going to work. I thought it would look cool sticking out of there. I didn't want to cut it down, so the new owner, if they wanted to cut it down or fold it so it'll fit, they can do that. And the forms that are in are actually just for, I think, if you're going to work for Bell Systems, like a job application. And also have a phone book from 1967, May of 67. And this was the closest town I could find to where this truck was sold new and close to where I got it, which is Ardmore. I actually got it west of Ardmore a little bit, but Marietta, Oklahoma, it'd be south of Ardmore just a little bit, so it's kind of close. But you got this vintage telephone book that's pretty cool. And it actually has the Governor Barrett. It has the governor's phone number there in the back of the book from 1967. I thought that was pretty neat. Also got some Ford memorabilia. I have a original brochure for 67. And also have the pickup challenge of the year. That's something they did in 67 to show the durability of Ford trucks. So that's kind of a neat read. I have a wind jumper for Bell Telephone. Now this is the later style. So this logo of Bell Telephone would have been from 69 and later. But still pretty cool. I think it's a size large. Try to get a size, yeah, size large. So try to get a size that would kind of generally fit most of the people, or what I would wear anyway. And I also got this license plate until I found the one that said Oklahoma. I guess I could show you. So this one's like brand new, so that's kind of neat. The one that I have on it's a little rougher, but it does say Oklahoma, so I elected to put that one on there since that's where this truck is from. But if you don't want Oklahoma on there, you can put this on there when you get it. And also got a hard hat with the correct old style logo on it, and a tool belt that says Bell System on it. So this tool belt was pretty neat. I kind of had to pay up for this thing, but I thought it would be neat to include with the truck. Other things in here, obviously the dash pad's been replaced. I replaced the gauge lens, floor mat. It's got a new headliner, and the seat is replaced. And it has a little tear down there, like I showed in the gallery. There's a little tear, somebody snagged on it. This is actually a seat I took out of another truck that was originally gray, and I dyed the seat black, and I thought it turned out really nice. And behind the seat we have a new fuel tank that I replaced, as well as a new sending unit. The old one was rusty and full of a bunch of junk. And the windows, I replaced the window felts and the guides here and lubricated the windows. I think they roll up and down really nice. That's one thing that bugs me on trucks. If the windows don't roll up and down, when you don't have air conditioning, you kind of want your windows to work pretty good. And same thing with the door latches. I lubed all that up, so it's working pretty good. I did have to change the keys because I didn't get a set of keys with it, so it has a new tumbler on the ignition and on the door locks, so all that works off the same key. I changed out the door seals, and unfortunately the doors don't shut the best. This one here shuts the best out of the two. It's kind of broken its way in, so that one shuts pretty decent. This one over here is a little tougher than the driver's side. So it's not, there it doesn't shut, so it's not the best, but it's better than it was. I worked on this a lot to try to get it to shut nice. And same thing with this window. Rolls up and down nice and easy. And here's another some kind of form holder that the Bell Telephone had in here. I'm not sure what that fit. I tried to find something that would fit there, but obviously came up short. Also put new seat belts in there. I guess I didn't point that out. Those are just some replacement seat belts. I changed the mirror head lenses. So these are new mirrors and gaskets because they were all cracked and wanting to come apart, but I left the mirror heads because I kind of thought it matched the exterior of the truck. But when I got replacements, I got white ones. So if sometime down the road somebody ever restores this truck or something, that's what's in these boxes here. So they're new mirror heads, and they are white. I haven't pictured, you guys can see that. But like I said, I just kept the old ones in there. Now this stuff here, I decided just to include with it. This is the 67 distributor. The 67s did not have a mechanical advance. They only had a vacuum advance. It's currently running the 68 distributor, which had both, which I thought would be an improvement, so I left it on there. This is a hard line for the vacuum advance in the 67s because they were hard lines. So I thought I would include that in case someone wanted to go back with it. And same here, we have the oil bath air cleaner and a carburetor that was on the 67 engine that's in this truck now. If you wanted to go back with what this truck would originally had on it, which was oil bath air cleaner, that is there. So just whatever you would want to use, I have included it. Another thing I want to talk about is the ladder rack. Now this is something I made. This was not original to the bed. I tried to match what the originals would have been. They would have had a nicer cast piece right here on this corner, and they would have had a nice clamp to hold the ladder. I didn't have any of that, obviously. So we just have a fabricated piece with some tarp straps holding the ladder down. And this ladder here was just one I found locally that was kind of looked the part. I didn't want to buy a new ladder and put up here. I did have someone that used to work for a telephone company say it should have been wooden or fiberglass. They wouldn't have used aluminum, but this is what I have. If you find a wooden ladder, I think that would look really neat up here, but we have an aluminum one. One thing to note when we get to the driving portion of the video, if you hear some howling in the video, I didn't mention it at the time, but it's actually the rungs in the ladder. They like to whistle as it's going down the road. So that's another knock against this ladder. So if you get that, you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you take it off, but something to note, it rattles a lot, and those rungs kind of whistle when it goes down the road, but it looks cool in photos, so it's up there right now. So I think that's kind of it for the exterior and the interior going over it. Try not to take too long on this video. Let's go under the hood where I spent a lot of my time. Inner fenders and core support I sanded down and painted in a 2K satin black with epoxy primer. Same thing with the hood hinges. They are a gray to kind of match the zinc phosphate, the original zinc phosphate that these would have been. The engine is a 2K Eastwood blue. I think matches the original. Now to the engines, this is the third engine I put on this truck to get it ready to go. I guess the second engine I put in it, the third engine I've had running. The engine that came in this truck when I bought it was a replacement. It was a reman from Fred Jones, which is a big reman place in Oklahoma City from back in the day. I got it running and it ran pretty decent, had good compression numbers. But when you got it hot, the oil light came on. And plus, when I changed the oil for the first time, the oil just barely came out of the oil pan. So it was ran to within an inch of its life and then parked. I think that's why this truck got parked. So since that engine was low on oil pressure, I found what was supposed to be a low mile 68 240. So I got that out, did a bunch of work to it, cleaned it up, threw it in here and got it running. It ran okay. But once I got that engine running, it had some sticky lifters, and when I decided to replace the lifters on it, I decided to do a compression test on it and found 2 low holes and had 2 leaking exhaust valves. I took the cylinder head off to rebuild the head, and I found 20,000 spore tapers, so that the engine was slap wore out. So instead of rebuilding that engine, I found a third 240 out of a 67. I actually bought it as a package deal for the truck, and I kind of got the engine for free kind of a deal. But I tore the engine down. It had some problems. I polished on the crank, opened the main journals up a little bit to give it a little more bearing clearance to be within spec. And this thing's running good now. Put it back together with new bearings and gave it a new paint job and just kind of, you know, dressed it up a little bit. And I thought it turned out pretty nice. But we do have 30 thousandths overbore on the cylinders. The mains and rods are 20 unders. But the head's been reconditioned, and it even has ARP cylinder head studs. Overall, just kind of anything the truck needed, I tried to do and do right, but anything the truck didn't need, I didn't really mess with it that much. It did need one kingpin. One kingpin had play in it, and I just replaced it with a good takeout from a good frame I had. Same thing with the tie rod. It had play in it, and that same frame had a good set of tie rods, so I put those in it. Instead of buying new, to save money where I could on this thing, new battery under here. New belts, hoses, battery cables, that kind of stuff, spark plugs. So yeah, that's the truck. It's a general overview of the truck. I'm going to do a cold start, and I'm going to insert the driving video I did on the last episode of this truck on my channel. We had a bunch of rain, and I live out in the country, and the roads are all sloppy, muddy, and it's supposed to rain tonight, and the next night, and the next night. So I'm not going to get this thing out in the mud and get it all muddy and have to clean it up for the auction. So I'm going to insert the driving video I did last time I had this thing to town. So hopefully that will satisfy that for you guys. If I missed anything or you want to see something extra, feel free to hit me up. Send me a message or comment on the auction, and I'll try to get back to you with whatever you need. More pictures, more videos, anything like that. Feel free to contact me. All right, so let's go do the driving video. All right, I got the truck in the shop here. It's been sitting here a few days. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Let you guys hear it on the fire up, and then we'll go take it for a test drive. The high idle cam on the choke is very aggressive, so I'm going to give it a little bit of choke, but not too much, because it likes to rev the engine high. Nice on a cold day. It's not that cold today, so I'll just give it a little bit. Give it a couple pumps of gas just to make it fire off nice and easy for you. There it goes. You can see hear the engine running a little fast. That's that high idle cam. You get a good audio of the engine there running. Go down here to the exhaust. Let me kick off that high idle cam for you. If it'll take it, surely it will. Yeah, he's gonna take it all right. So there it is at cold idle. I'm gonna get this thing warmed up, take it out of the shop, and we'll go see how it drives. We got a little bit of a climb coming out of here where I got parked. Give me a workout for my learning the clutch on this thing. Like I said, once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. Definitely not a big torquey big block or anything like that. Another thing I noticed when I was driving this was about 60 miles an hour is top speed. And I'm not just saying where the thing likes to drive, I'm saying top speed, like foot to the floor. You might be able to get it a hair over 60, but I haven't been able to yet. So definitely not a hot rod, not a speed demon. You're probably not going to get any speeding tickets unless you're in town, but that's all right. Like I said, this thing sips the fuel. Last time I was in town when it still had the other engine in it, I filled it up, and we're just under 3/4 right now. So the 70 miles I put on it, man, this thing's getting pretty good mileage. I haven't checked it. I might before the end of the auction on this thing. We'll see. Another thing that I remembered, I think I found out the first time I drove it to town, but I remembered it now because I kind of forgot about it, was the speedometer's off, because this truck originally had 410 gears in it, and the speedometer is still geared for the 410s, so it is a little slow. About 7 to 8 mile an hour slow, I think is what I figured. So I might see if I can get a gear that'll work for the gear ratios that's in the back of this thing. I think like a 370 would be perfect for this truck. So it has a little bit more gear advantage on the back end. You know, it's not a top speed truck, so the 3.0 gears are probably a little fast for it, but but they get the job done. We're going like, I hope it's not too windy here. Let me roll my window up. We're probably going 60 right now, so we kind of had a downhill ramp to get us up to speed, so that helps. The old 300 or 240 in this thing, the old 6-cylinder, is pretty quiet, so you don't really get to hear much of the engine once you get going. You just hear wind noise and tire noise, because we got the old bias ply tires on here. No radio, so pretty quiet in here as far as that goes. The old 3-speed is shifting pretty good. I did change out the shift collar whenever I built this truck. It was all blown out and loose, so it's kind of tightened up a little bit. There's still just a little bit of play in it. You kind of got to find the gears, but kind of is what it is on these old trucks. I think if you completely redid the column and changed all the bushings and the shift rods and everything, you might be able to tighten that up some, but it works for this truck. Coming up here, we have what we call Horseshoe Hill, and the last time I took it to town with the old engine that was kind of wore out, it struggled to get up it. I think we dropped down to like 30-some miles an hour. We're hitting at about 60, maybe 50, 58. So we're moving along a little faster than the other engine. If I remember right, it wasn't all that fast. It wasn't all this fast, but here we go, going up the hill. I got her to the floor. We're about 48, 45, 48. So yeah, that's definitely an improvement. That is a big improvement over the other engine, so that's good. We're making more power. We made it up the hill without dropping all the way down to about 30 mile an hour. About 15 mile an hour gain going up Horseshoe Hill, so I'll take that all day long. It's definitely not a powerhouse, but it gets the job done. I'm not going to want to let it go because it's just a fun little truck. It's so zippy and tight turns and fun to drive around. I think if we put 350 gears in it or 370 gears in it, I'd have a really hard time selling it because it would just drive around so good. But you can't keep them all. I would have way too many trucks if I kept them all. I already got too many trucks, so we got to let this one go. Thank you guys for sticking around this long and getting this third time's the charm 240 in this truck to get it running and driving and back on the road after 35 plus years. I'm happy to be able to save this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this truck. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.